Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the prelim fights for UFC on ESPN Overeem versus Rozenstruik. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the prelims and our first fight on the card. So in our first fight, we have in the featherweight division, Billy Quarantillo versus Jacob Kilburn. So in this fight, they're pretty even skill level, but I feel like one of them has an area that they're good in that the other fighter has a significant weakness in, or at least a track record of having weaknesses in that area. So Kilburn is the better striker between the two. I feel like he's more confident, more power in the shots. Whereas Quarantillo, I think his striking, he's been working on striking, but still not completely confident there. I feel like Kilburn is a much cleaner striker between the two. But where the area is that's most significant of a gap between the two is in the grappling. I feel like Quarantillo is a much cleaner grappler. I feel like he could take Kilburn down, as Kilburn doesn't have the best takedown defense and has struggled with fighters that take him down and grapple him. And I feel like Quarantillo will be able to do that. And I feel like Quarantillo has made more improvements to his striking than Kilburn has to his grappling. So I still see the gritty type of fight, but I feel like Quarantillo's takedowns and control will allow him to win this fight. I don't think he'll be able to submit Kilburn, despite Kilburn being submitted in the past. Kilburn grappling isn't all that phenomenal or not, but he is at least composed enough in his he's composed enough on the ground, knows how to avoid getting submitted and not getting put out. He can, like I say, he can hold his own on the ground, but I think it's gonna be more so Quarantillo getting takedowns, working on the ground, attacking him, and winning off control time and takedowns. Close fight, but winning off the takedowns and control time. So in this fight, I got Billy Quarantillo via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, Verna Jandiroba versus Mallory Martin. So I just think Jandiroba is better everywhere. More fights, more experience, higher level competition, better submissions, better striking. Mallory Martin is more of a gritty fighter. If she can make this a gritty fight, she has a chance. She's a bigger fighter, or at least a thicker fighter. She can make this. If she can make this a real gritty fight, she has a chance. But I feel like really most of her grittiness is going to end up with her getting caught in submission and put out. Because even in her fights outside of UFC, when she's even winning these fights, she gets caught in submissions, and a lot of times these submissions be real deep, and they won't be against the highest levels of grapplers. But they be deep, and her opponents just kind of don't have that confidence, so they let submissions go that they probably could have got her in. It's not just her defense is like submission defense is so good. It's more so opponents just kind of don't have the confidence in their submission, even though they have them locked in. They let her out. And I feel like Jandiroba is a high level grappler. She's not gonna be if she sees a submission, gets in those same position, it's going to be a wrap. It's not going to be, I don't think the submission deep enough, or I'm not confident. She's going to be confident in those positions. And I feel like Martin's going to be down on the cards and going to try to make something happen. And when she gets overzealous, or she's going to try to force something to happen, she's going to get caught in submission. And I think she gets stopped in the mid part of that third round. So in this fight, I got Verna Jandiroba via third round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, Muradov versus Trevor Smith. So I just wanted to see Muradov is being better everywhere, really. Much better striker. Wrestling kind of say, it's a toss-up maybe, because we really haven't seen Muradov really wrestle somebody like Smith. Smith is a pretty gritty, underrated wrestler in a way. But Muradov is just overall a much better MMA fighter. I think he could pick him apart on the feet, take advantage a lot of Trevor Smith's sloppy striking offense and defense, mix the angles, catch him on the outside, especially with Smith's chin up and hands down often. But I feel like Smith could be kind of a gritty, make it a gritty fight early. We'll try to smother him up in the clinch and try to attack with takedowns. But I feel like Muradov's going to be to neutralize them, counter those takedowns. But still going to be gritty just off Trevor Smith trying to make it a smothering type fight. But as the fight gets on, I think in the second round, I think even Trevor Smith's best efforts is going to just lead him to getting countered, caught, and put out. So in this fight, I got Muradov via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, Joe Solecki versus Matt Wiman. So this fight is actually a lot more even in odds give it, because more so they're giving odds because Matt Wiman had him 4 to 5 years and got destroyed by Louis Pina. But it's so lucky, guys. It's not like he's had some super stellar career. He's still a newbie in a way. Just his first UFC fight. I'm not saying you're not in the UFC, you're new, but he's still a relatively fresh fighter. And it's not like he's been fighting super high level competition outside of UFC. So that's why I'm saying he's kind of a fresh fighter. He's not a fighter that has been winning world titles outside of UFC, or fighting for world titles, or been regulars in these top level organizations. He's been fighting these regional circuits, so for the most part. But yeah, he's a grappler, and Matt Wiman's a grappler. I think Wiman still low key can compete with a lot of the best grapplers in the sport at the moment. I'm not saying he can beat them. I'm saying he can at least hold his own with a lot of these grapplers in the sport at the moment, even though he's been out of the game for 5 years and came back and fought Pina. So a grappler versus grappler leaves a lot of opportunities for Wiman. So you want to put a small bet on Wiman, it wouldn't be a bad bet, because it's a grappler fight. and people kind of looking at Wiman based on fighting Peanut, but it's not like Solecki, some super well-rounded good striker, height or reach. He's actually shorter than Wiman. He grapples, and that's what Wiman wants to do. So it leaves a lot of opportunities for Wiman, but just like the odds, I'm going to lean to Solecki. And when I feel like that 5-year layoff, to come back and getting that type of, losing that way he lost to Peanut, it's going to mess up his confidence. He took a lot of damage in that fight. I feel like I'm going to lean to the younger, fresher grappler. I still think it's going to be a competitive fight, but I think the younger fighter is going to be able to push a little bit more, maybe outwork the older fighter in Wiman. Yes, Wiman be gritty and grindy. He'll have that veteran experience and be able to have some tricks in there. But I feel like Solecki's youth and ability to grow and still be fresh is going to be allow him to outwork Wiman. And, gritty, grindy grappling matchup, a lot of transition, a lot of attempts, a lot of reversals, a lot of battle for top control, battle for dominance. But like I said, Solecki being a younger, fresh fighter is going to be able to work more, whereas Wiman is going to have to be more conservative with his stuff. I feel like the work rate of Solecki and the youth is going to favor him in this one. So in this fight, I got Joe Solecki via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the featherweight division, Bryce Mitchell versus Matt Sayles. So this one right here, you got Bryce Mitchell. His strike, I'm just going to get to the point with this one. Bryce Mitchell striking really isn't the best. Kind of some loopy shots, can't really put together combinations too much. He's more so unorthodox because he's still a developing young fighter. So striking isn't the best. Where he kind of thrives at getting these grindy fights where you can mix in takedowns. He'll be attacking submissions off his back, getting reversals. A lot of stuff like that. Getting these, like pretty much he wants to get in these gritty, grindy grappling matches, or he wants to be on top. In those type of fights, he excels. But against Matt Sayles, I don't really see him getting much takedowns or really having that much success with his takedowns. Mitchell's takedown accuracy is only about 23%, and Matt Sayles' takedown defense is about 66 or higher. And though those stats may shift and stuff, and like they not be the true tell of the fight, I feel like Matt Sayles is good enough of a grappler, good enough of his takedown defense to really neutralize most of Mitchell's grappling, his takedown attempts, and most of his grappling. Be able to get back to his feet even if he is taken down. And I feel like on the feet, that's where the biggest gap between these two fighters is on the feet. Like I said, Mitchell doesn't really throw the best shots. He kind of throw these winging shots here and there. Whereas Matt Sayles a little bit more composed. He's not a super high level striker either, but he knows how to put together combinations. Whereas Mitchell really hasn't developed that skill yet, or at least at this level. So I feel like Matt Sayles puts much more value. Matter of fact, I think stat wise, he does 6 times more value on the feet than Mitchell does in fights on average. So I feel like on the feet, much cleaner striker, puts together combinations much better, sharper with strikes, and he's more comfortable in that area. Whereas Mitchell is still kind of uncomfortable in that area. Well, or at least he looks uncomfortable when he's doing these shots. So I feel like Sayles basically will be able to neutralize most of Mitchell's grappling attempts or attempts to make it a grappling matchup. Not fitting on the feet, Matt Sayles just outvalues him, puts together combinations, and really picks him apart on the feet. But I don't think it's going to be a finish because Sayles is not necessarily a knockout puncher, definitely not really a power puncher. And Mitchell is a very tough kid, so I feel like it's going to be one of the fights that's going to be a decision for Matt Sayles, just based off really neutralizing Mitchell's grappling attempts and just outvalue him and putting the work on him on the feet. So in this fight, I got Matt Sayles via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the co-prelim headliner in the welterweight division, Thiago Alves versus Tim Means. So you got two fighters that are kind of on the downtrend in a way. It feel like Tim Means, matter of fact, I don't feel like it. Like Tim Means never was really on the uptrend, whereas Thiago Alves at one point was one of the top welterweights for a long time, but those days are far behind him. And Tim Means is a fighter that's had a lot of talent, but struggled to ever be consistent. I think he was cut at one point, returned, had some stints at 155, had ups and downs at 170. I don't know, but yeah, a fighter that's struggled to ever be consistent, ever really define his steam. But a lot of talent on Tim Means. And as far as this matchup goes right here, I think it kind of favors Tim Means because I think Thiago Alves struggled with a lot of fighters with similar frames and skill sets to Tim Means, like these longer fighters with sharp striking, elbows, good long shots that can really put on volume and like be very accurate and tag him up, like Carlos Condit. There's other fighter, I'm forgetting his name right now, but he did eventually beat that guy. Then another fighter he fought, but they kind of robbed him on the decision. Like Max Griffin. I'm not saying these fighters are necessarily the same as Tim Means, but got that similar like longer frame, longer shots, volume, power. Well, I don't think Tim Means had that much power. He's sharp, but like kind of that similar frame, similar style, similar output, similar tools. Not all the same, but we have seen Thiago Alves struggle with him. It's like Thiago Alves has really evolved. I mean, he hasn't evolved at all. And it's like kind of the same blueprint to beat him there. Like Thiago Alves going to come forward. He's going against a taller fighter. It's not like he really moves his head much or his feet all that much. His footwork not all that phenomenal. So he's kind of coming on a straight line a lot of times. And he's walking through these longer, these jousting type of strikes because he's coming on the center line and walking to these shots. And I feel like Tim Means could pick him apart. But I feel like where Thiago Alves can have success if he mixes in the takedowns. Tim Means has struggled with takedown, like, with grappling and takedowns and issues with that. And Tim Means also has an issue when, kind of gets in these 50-50 exchanges because he doesn't really have the best defense. He's good offensively, but he doesn't have the best defense. So you might say, why is this talented fighter has never been able to find consistent success? Because he has, as phenomenal as he is on offense, his defense is a lacking area. Also point fighting, knowing the clock and knowing what judges are scoring for. He's kind of a fighter. Like, he's not really a point fighter. He's not this. So he can lose point fights. And then he can lose fights where he just, has his technical errors on the defense. Like, like I said, he's a flat-footed fighter. Yes, he's good offense, but you could start putting the pressure on him and pressure him and get him in these 50-50 exchanges. You could catch him. Like, keep your sound to your defense, catch his shot, and then catch him because his hand going to be low, his chin going to be up. You could catch him in the inside. That's why he got caught by Nico Price. It wasn't just because Nico Price caught him with lucky shots because he was sloppy on the matter of fact, Nico Price sloppy on the inside, but he has heavier hands than Tim Means. It was on the inside, bigger fighter. He got caught. Not lucky, but it just took advantage of your lack of defense on the inside. And I feel like Thiago Alves could pressure. He could find opportunities like that, maybe even to the body, to the head. But I feel like if Tim Means could keep a consistent output and keep Thiago Alves at the end of his punches, this should be a clear fight for Tim Means. But this is even though like the odds kind of shifting and jumping around, this is a 50-50 fight because Tim Means is not consistent. There's openings for him. And Thiago Alves is on a downturn. But I'm going to lean to Tim Means. I feel like his size and his skill set, if he could keep a consistent output, I feel like he should be able to put on a very good performance against Thiago Alves. If not, like, put on a kind of semi-dominant performance, should be able to get a finish. But I'm actually going to go with a decision this one, despite what Tim Means could possibly do if he puts on a stellar performance. I'm going to say Thiago Alves is veteran enough, it's tough enough to grit and grind his way to, at least to make it to the decision. But I feel like Tim Means, like I said, consistent output, using that range, walking Thiago Alves a lot of shots, catching with elbows if he gets in too close, and not really being stationary too long, or really not allowing Thiago Alves to take advantage of Tim Means' flat-footedness by getting in on the inside too much or too often. And I feel like I said, on outside, Tim Means pick him apart and beat him to a decision. So in this fight, I got Tim Means via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our prelim headliner in the bantamweight division, Rob Font versus Ricky Simon or Simone. Yeah, I'm gonna say Simone. So Ricky Simone. So in this fight, you got two studs right here. Both of these guys can definitely shake up the division. I'm not saying they necessarily gonna at the point where they're good as a super threat to the division, but they're definitely guys that you might not expect to necessarily shake up the division, but definitely have all the skills and talent and potential to be fighters that can definitely factor into that picture and maybe upset some people and do so because they have all the skills for sure. Rob Font been working on his grappling looking better and better at each fight. Striking always been clean, getting sharper, being put more power on those shots. At first, he was just more of an accuracy fighter, but now he's getting sharper, more heavier hands. And, he's understanding the game a lot more. Ricky Simone always had heavy hands, could mix it on like power in both right and left, can mix hooks, can do some good feints off those shots, good takedown defense, some good grappling abilities. Like, those are some real solid fighters right here. But I think in this fight, I don't think Simone's offensive takedowns is that phenomenal. Like, his offensive takedowns aren't that phenomenal. Like, his offensive takedown wrestling game isn't that phenomenal. So I feel like this fight is going to be more so a striking match. It might be some grappling, it might be some cage fighting and stuff, some clinch work. But I feel like, matter of fact, clinch work, I might even favor Rob Font if he could get that Muay Thai plum on him. He might be able to land some knees in the body, given his frame and his height advantage in this fight. But I feel like more so this fight going to play out kind of that middle, long, like that, I don't say middle to long distance, middle to semi-long distance striking, kind of where Rob Font wants to be. Rick Simone's best shot is really his hooks. He has some decent jabs in there, but I feel like Rob Font's jab, his footwork is cleaner than Simone. And he's the longer fighter with the longer strikes, the sharper strikes. And the fights, typically the longer, sharper strikes beat the shorter, well, not the shorter, but the wider shots. Like the longer, sharper shots and all beat the wider shots. That's what I'm trying to say. And I feel like in this fight, Rob Font has the better, longer, sharper strikes. So I still see it as a competitive fight. Rick Simone with pressure heavy, have heavy hands, be in Rob Font's, trying to be in Rob Font's grill. But I feel like Rob Font's footwork, his jab, and his volume, those sharper shots going to beat Ricky Simone's wider shots and beat him to a punch a lot, walk him a lot of shots. And I think I'll value him and beat him in the in the battle of technique. Who's the crisper boxer? Who's the crisper striker? And I think that's Rob Font. But I still see this as a very close, highly contested fight. But I feel like Rob Font is the cleaner striker between the two, and the styles of their striking favors Rob Font, and their builds favor Rob Font in this type of striking matchup. I don't see too much grappling going on in this match. So I feel like it's going to be kind of more of a striking matchup. And I feel like Rob Font should be able to edge that. And I think he edges it on a kind of a close decision. So in this fight, I got Rob Font via decision. And that concludes my fight predictions for the prelims of UFC on ESPN, Overeem versus Rozenstruik. And as always, thanks for watching.